Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble.
Hey, welcome back to the show. It's your boy, Ben Humble. Welcome back. We've got some awesome conversations going on today, folks. So, listen, this show has been pretty awesome. I just want to let you know I appreciate you for just connecting with me, connecting with the people that I'm bringing on. I'm trying to bring more value into your life every day, especially right now when there's a period of scarcity and maybe folks are afraid around you. I want to bring you some confidence. I want to bring you some resources, and I want to bring you some amazing, inspiring stories from business owners, thought leaders, and folks that are really pushing on personal development, because right now, the most important thing that you can do is focus your mind on productivity, focus your mind on the things that are going to bring you success, and it starts with the mindset. So I love bringing on these stories. So today I've got a really amazing conversation for you, talking about reverse engineering your life. Now we're going to get, how's she going, eh? We're going to get real Canadian in a second, because my guest today is an amazing Canadian man. I've got to know this guy over the last little while. So here's the deal. Today I've got a really cool dude, a young cat, a stud from up north, as they call him. I got my brother, Miguel Catellier, here with me, and I met Miguel a little while ago. He's actually a good friend of mine and Chris Rude's, and this guy is awesome. I didn't know they had like real business owners up in northern Canada. Eh? I thought it was just a bunch of dudes up there, Eskimos. But the truth is, we got real business owners and real industries up there that are being built and grown all the time. So I wanted to share some light back in Canada with the real business owners. So folks, my brother, Mr. Miguel. Hey, Miguel, how are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Ben, happy to be here, man.
Hey, thanks for being here, man. I'm excited to jump into conversation.
Western Canada.
I'm sorry, Western. I would say Northwestern Canada. Is that right? From where I'm at? I'm in Windsor, Ontario. So where are you?
We're west, man. We're Western Canada. Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba. That's where we are.
So if we call you,
Northern's like
northern.
Every time you say northern, I think of like Nunavut or something like that. You know?
Yeah, I guess, you know what? We're so far south. We're the most southern point in Canada. To us, everybody's north. So
everybody's north.
What do you guys call us down here in like little old Windsor? What do you guys call us?
Easterners.
Easterners.
We call you guys East Coast folk.
Oh, yeah. We're like Newfies then, right?
That's right. Yeah, just everything east of Ontario is just Easterners.
I love it.
From the Manitoba line.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You guys have different rules up there, and you guys can grow better beards. I think it's Mother Nature or something like that. Like you guys grow a really healthy.
We got to stay warm, man. Yeah.
I love it, dude. It's hilarious. Miguel, why don't we start with you, my man? If you could give us a rundown of your background, I think if folks know, and then kind of give us the scope of what you've done, because you're a young cat. How old are you now, dude?
30.
30 years old, eh? Okay, I love it. Could you give us a little background, man? I would love for people to get to know Miguel Catellier.
Yeah, you bet. So kind of a serial entrepreneur, started diving in, had a good friend of mine. We're still great friends and work together, that gave me the book, The Magic of Being Big, when I was 17 years old. And punchline was, we're all born bare naked and screaming. And, we can become anybody we want to. And I sort of drank the Kool-Aid and started getting on the personal development train, jumped into a bunch of different things, direct sales, real estate investing. I had 7 doors when I was 23, and I thought, oh man, I'm going to live on passive income and all this kind of stuff. The bank's like, we're not giving you any money. And then jumped over to, I'm like, okay, well, where am I going to get more money? So I jumped over to the oil rigs, because I was making 100% commission before. Went and worked in the oil patch, ended up buying some more doors, stacking that up, and realized that I went at it backwards. I started with the buy and hold game in my early 20s, thinking like, oh, I'm just going to stack up all these.
We came to Canada in 1991 with nothing but a will to thrive. They risked everything they had, left behind everyone they knew.
The only way out of the country was illegal, and the risk was huge.
I adopted the mindset that my parents had of faith and vision for my life. You see, they helped me understand that you get to decide what happens in this world. By the age of 30, I became a millionaire. I refused to accept scarcity, limiting beliefs, or someone else's excuses. So you want to know what the secret is? People ask me all the time, what's the secret? You want to know what it's going to take for you to succeed? Here's the truth.
properties, and just like once I have 10, boom, I'm gonna sit back and chill for the rest of my life. So learned that was the ticket, and got into a bunch of different things that led me into starting a mobile metal recycling business. We're now the largest mobile metal recycling company in Western Canada that does what we do. We recycled I think 350 million pounds of steel so far since we started the business, and we work in Alberta. And what you can see behind me here too, we started a company called True Green Energy, and we sort of got into that space and became sort of dominant players in our space pretty quickly, and got hit by a bus shortly thereafter. So we were just taken off like an absolute rocket, and had some major policy changes, not unlike what happened in Ontario, that kind of really changed the game for us. So it's a lot different than it was. And so just kind of always personal developing and improving, and started a few companies that have done well, and started some that didn't do well. Here I am.
So okay, let me backtrack a little bit. You said 315 million pounds. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Dude,
350 million pounds.
I'm going to drop a bomb. So the largest metal recycling portable business, essentially. So you go on site, your team goes on site, you guys collect the scrap metal, and then what do you guys do with it as a company?
Yeah, so it gets processed, broken down. Like, where we are is lots of farming. It's the biggest agricultural hub. So you've got hundreds of years worth of scrap parked all over the place. You got businesses that produce scrap metal. And so there are, scrap companies that are bigger than us in terms of like mills and different things like that. But for what we do, we're 100% mobile. It's kind of like 1-800-GOT-JUNK of scrap metal. Okay. And we're the largest in the space.
I love that.
Yeah. And then we break that down, load it, and then sell it to buyers who are going to process it down further and get it into mills and turn it into something new.
Wow. So, dude, let's jump into this, man. Game. The one thing I noticed about you, Miguel, is that you jump into like big like industrials type of businesses. Like a lot of us, like we jump in, we're doing like these little digital companies or online companies. You're jumping into real revenue, real expense, real overhead, real big business. We're talking like real, Carnegie and Rockefeller kind of businesses here. Is that something that you gravitate to as a business owner, or is that the opportunity, or how do you gravitate to those businesses versus somebody who starts, a janitorial business or something like that, smaller?
Well, I didn't start there, right? So I started in direct sales, 100% commission sales, network marketing. Got into real estate, where I was, flip some property, did the buy and hold thing. Then got into working with some guys that were doing information products, called Enrich. Yep, to train.
Oh, looks like we're losing you. Looks like we're losing you, brother. Let me see if we can catch you back. Miguel, you still there? Oh,
yep.
I think he went back in. I think he went back in the igloo in Western Canada. Let me just see if you can bring him back here. Miguel, are you there?
How am I coming across, Ben? Is the connection okay?
The connection's it's kind of rough here. It's kind of rough. Just get out the igloo a little bit and see if we can reconnect here.
Yeah, 1 sec. Let me jump on a different network.
Yeah, no problem. So it's really cool, folks. And what I want to kind of reiterate with Miguel here, so he's in Western or Northern Canada, however you think of it. For me, everything is Northern Canada. But what's cool about Miguel's story is that he didn't just stop. Like, he got into sales, and then he got into real estate, and then he pivoted until he got into these large kind of, industrious type of businesses where 300-something million pounds. Think about that, folks, how significant that is. We're not talking peanuts here. We're talking real revenue, real business. And at that stage of the game, which I wanted to pop back on you and talk about, it takes a real business. Like, you've got to be able to hire right. You've got to be able to connect, with capital. You've got to be able to put a lot of elements in that maybe sometimes as real estate investors we take for granted, right? Real estate investing, to me, folks, is a very easy and straightforward business. In fact, it's probably the safest business to get into because you're trading cash for equity. So let me bring Miguel back on if I can here. Miguel, talk to us about that, man. The big difference between, let's say, a real estate investor and like what you would do with True Green Energy or with the solar company or with the metal business.
Yeah, it takes teams, right? So I think the most important skill early on in my career that I developed was the ability to sell. Number one, because that's kind of the primary, if you're going to be in business for yourself, whether it's a one-man show or whether you're going to have a massive company, you have to be able to sell, whether that's a product or you need to be able to sell a vision to people to, especially when you're in a startup mode and you're trying to attract qualified people that can help you build the vision that you have. You got to be able to sell that vision to them, right? So like step number one was learning how to sell. The next most important skill is leadership, because if you're going to build anything, it's a guy can build 7-figure business by himself. It's very difficult to get into 8 and 9 figures without a team, right?
Right.
And so learning about step number one is leadership and how to develop that group around you and that sort of culture around you, that where you're not necessarily making all the calls, where you've got first it starts off where you've got a little bit of delegation happening, right? And then it sort of evolves to where you're leading leaders who are leading a team kind of thing, right? And you have to be able to develop that out. And so that's the biggest difference. Really, Tim Bratz did a live. I know you connect with Tim, and
yeah, he's a buddy of mine.
One of the things that I liked about what he said was that he said it was easier for him to buy 120 units or 150 units than it is to buy 12. And the reason is that when you're buying 12, the economics don't work for you to, have an on-site, person selling units or renting them out. You don't have necessarily on-site management that's taking care of the little things. So now you have to spend a disproportionate amount on those things in order to make money. Whereas when you buy a 120 unit deal, you've got a leasing agent, you've got built-in repair people, that kind of thing. It's much the same in business. Thinking big doesn't necessarily take more effort. I mean, you're taking a little bit bigger risks. There's more zeros on the paper. You're taking on more responsibility, more people that are counting on you to make the right calls to pay the bills and that kind of thing. But ultimately, I think that, I even look at myself and getting into the 8-figure space. I look at myself compared to a lot of businesses, and I still think small. So it's just a perspective shift that from going, from that sort of like 6 figures and 7 figures into 8, it's really just a perspective shift.
Let me ask you this, Miguel, because I think this is such an important
topic. It's not
topic.
that big of a deal.
Yeah, I'd love to jump into something with you. I think that really the big difference is you're talking about leadership, and I think leadership starts with personal responsibility. And once you've got that dialed in, then you can start becoming a leader and helping other people develop culture and grow their own personal and corporate responsibility. What does that look like to you as a leader? Like what kind of training or focus do you put on leadership development for you and your team?
So if you come into our business, everybody that's in a leadership position, everybody that's in sort of a senior management position in the company is huge on personal development. If whether you work for us you just started working for us today, we'll pay for your Audible account day one. We'll recommend books to people, and all the people who end up moving up in our business that start out, that sort of prove themselves as a performer. And then we start looking at, man, these guys could actually probably be a manager and potentially run a crew or run a piece of the action. Then we start talking to them about, hey, like, have you ever listened to this book? Have you ever listened to that book? And if you look at all the people, I think the thing that one of the things I'm most proud of in my business is that we're a learning organization, right? It's a total learning culture. It's not uncommon on a daily, weekly basis that people are like, hey, check out this podcast. Hey, read this book. And books like Extreme Ownership, all the people in management positions in our company have read it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Dichotomy of Leadership, those types of books that an organization can sort of gel on and use as a philosophy. And so that's a big piece of it, really. The other thing is trust, right? Like, you can't do much without trust. And the way you gain trust is you do what you say you're going to do, right? And I'm a big believer that, if you want to build something big, I'd rather share a watermelon than hoard a grape, right? There's a lot of people who run companies and they own 150% of everything and nobody else ever gets cut in, and they pay people the bare minimum. Yeah. I've paid people before way more, I've left people 5-figure checks on their desk to say, hey, great job, and being generous and appreciating the people that are contributing greatly to the business and making them feel that I can be here and I can actually have opportunity down the road. And like, hey, if I'm here, if I'm not, this company is going to be tearing down, something, right? They're going to be doing something. And you have to have that vision and that momentum and the ability to treat people well and take care of them, right?
I love
Whether
it.
that's a company truck, credit cards, fuel cards, like just the extras, right? I've taken the whole company to Mexico before, just packed up and threw everybody in the plane and we went down to Mexico for a week and stuff like that. So, if you want to get, you got to give, right? And you have to be able to give and to create that trust. It's not always automatic and it doesn't always stay forever, but you have to, that's part of it for me if you're going to build a big company.
So let's talk about that, the development of people, because this is something important topic I think some business owners don't really see. It's the whole adage of, well, if I invest in this guy, maybe he's going to leave me. Or like, I can't teach him everything because then he'll go and start his own 350 million tons of scrap business. Like, I say that because it's funny, but like, how does that mindset? Because I used to struggle with that 2 years and years ago. Then I realized that, yeah, but what if they don't leave you? And what if they actually stay and grow the business? And what if they love it? And what if it becomes part of their own identity? Like they're so ingrained in your business that it becomes their business. Could you talk to us about that? Because people are afraid of hiring the best. What's your take on that?
Great question. And I think it is like, that's a big piece that some business owners have a little bit of insecurity about, is hiring people that are better and smarter than them. Right. And I'm realizing I've been growing through that and realizing that there's some fantastic people out there. There really, really is. And at the end of the day, if the vision that you've got for the business is big enough to where it's big enough for those people to see themselves achieving the things that they want to get out of their life, that's moving the needle for them in their life, that's making their life better, then you're going to get buy-in, right? And everybody doesn't stay forever. It is what it is, right? You're going to get people who come and are here for the season. And I'm just hoping that when they leave, they're better off than when they came, if they happen to go to something else. And in fact, I would, depending on who it was and what the thing was, I'd probably back them up and support them and say, hey, you're doing this thing, awesome. I'll invest in you. Right. So, I'm sort of realizing that there's a lot of great people. And so you can't be too possessive. There's not one person that you can't live without. And you have to just do the best and treat people well. And the people who are meant to be there will be there. And the people who are meant to move on will move on.
I love it. So it's an openness, man. It's like you're living with an open heart and an open hand. And as a result, money and experiences can flow in. They can also flow out. Love and patience and kindness can flow out. It can also flow back in. I believe that's really the whole reciprocity idea, right? Or we call it faith in Christianity. Like we focus on the abundance, myself connected to my connector. So do you live in scarcity, man, especially when you're doing these big businesses and stuff? Are you ever living in massive fear? And if you are, what does that look like? And how does that drive you maybe to, what do you do to overcome those kind of fears? By the way, if you guys are interested in real estate investing and you are in Canada, I wrote a book here called Real Estate Secrets Exposed. Learn how to actually make money virtually, which is cool, from the comfort of your home. Yes, it is possible if you understand the value and how to do wholesaling. And if you don't know anything about wholesaling, you need to grab this book. It's absolutely free. There's no page numbers. There's nothing else in there. It's just ready to go, though. Humble.ceo to grab your free copy.
Yeah, good question. I think, anybody that's been around our business knows that, we don't live in scarcity. We don't operate in scarcity. We give, we're constantly giving. Last year, towards the end of 2019, steel prices were depressed, was not a fantastic market. Everybody got paid, all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't like, you're not lighting the world on fire. We were still giving and doing good things because, I think it's a lot of the universe like gravity, right? When you give, it comes back. And, it's in the good book. You don't give necessarily for that, but I think that there is an abundance. And I think when you start to operate a business with a mindset of scarcity, you are going to cut out a whole bunch of good people because you're going to be thinking like, oh man, well, I can't do that. That's too much. I gotta keep it for myself. And I don't think you can operate that way. Like I said, I'm a big believer that I would rather share a watermelon than hoard a grape. you know, I've learned lessons about that. When's the right time to partner, who's the right people to partner with, and those kinds of things. But big believer in that. And I think even in times like this, when things aren't great, you should still give, you know, because you can realize, it makes you realize that, you know, even if you feel like you're getting your ass kicked in business right now, which many businesses are, it could be worse, you know, and helping people who are in a position that's even worse than where you are helps you to realize that, appreciate that. And then, you know, right now is a season of when a fisherman can't go out to sea, they mend their nets, right? I got that written in the boardroom right now. And we're looking at how do we make our business better in every way? You know, some of that includes hard decisions. Some decisions are easier, but we're looking at our business and going, what can we do better here? And I think that's what you got to be doing in a time like this.
I really like that. So they mend their nets when they can't go out to sea. What a cool expression. So I kind of see you and a lot of my business friends here. People say like, hey, Humble, where are you getting all these business friends? Where do you meet all these guys? And the answer is masterminds and through other business guys. That's how we connect, right? I kind of see you like a lion, right? Like very, very kind of, you know, your dominance, but you're also quiet. You're thoughtful. But at the same time, you could pounce. And I think right now a lot of people get back in the corner. They do one of two things, Miguel. I think some people, they sit there and they crawl up into a ball. And they're like, oh, my God, scarcity. I can't do anything. I'm a victim. I can't move. And then you get other people who jump out that corner and they go, you know what? I'm attacking this thing full on. I'm back in my full aggressive lion modeness. So, you know, like, what do you do now to pivot as a business owner? Or what should business owners, maybe you could share your own experience or give some advice here. People who are backed up against the corner, what should they be doing, man? Should they fight their way out or should they just like wait it out? Or what do you think, brother?
Couple thoughts. I think number one, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And you never, you know, I've had amazing years where we're making money hand over fist. Then I've had years that were tougher and tighter because I'm in a commodity business, right? And so, you know, where you learn the lessons is when things get tighter and efficiency gets better and systems get better and people get better. And you can't tolerate inefficiency and bad production and people that aren't pulling their weight and things like that. And so I would say that, again, with that whole mending your net analogy, now's the time to be looking at, you know, a lot of people are in pause and sometimes you don't even have a choice, right? You're kind of like, you're forced to take a moment, but you should be looking at everything going like, okay, what could I do better in this area of the business? What could I do better in this area of the business? What could I do better in this area of the business? How can I be better and more efficient? And, you know, I think this moment in time right now is going to define many of us. Like, we're always going to remember this whole COVID-19 situation where the whole world shut down for how long, right? And so the way that I'm trying to think about it, like, it's not like you don't have moments where you just lost a shitload of money and you're like, holy crap, like, and you have to kind of take a step back and feel bad for yourself for a minute, and then you go, okay, snap out of it, right? And I think the reality is, don't dwell there, don't stay there long, shut all that negative crap off. And you need to think about this, that the way that you behave and act in this circumstance now is going to be a defining moment in your life. And you're always going to look back at this and remember, you know, what did we do? How did we come out of this? There's a lot of people that are going to come out of this and went, yeah, I got my ass kicked and I went and got a regular job. You know, and then a lot of people are going to come out of this going like, yeah, we came out better and stronger than we ever have. So for me, it's like, when you're in business, it's like a military thing almost, like you're pushing out and taking ground. And sometimes things like this wasn't even the opposing army. It was a freaking asteroid that came and wiped out the battlefield. So like, it's like, okay, now we retreat back. You retreat back to your stronghold, to where your core business, and you pivot and you wait. I think the worst thing somebody could be doing right now is making long-term decisions. You need to be really just, you know, as a leader, you need to be casting a vision about where we're going to go in general. And like the fact that like, hey, look, we've got a kick-ass team and here's what we're going to accomplish, X, Y, Z. But right now is not really a good time to be making long-term decisions because they're going to change 5 times. And then you're going to get even more uncertainty in yourself and in your team. So it's like a holding pattern a little bit. I don't know how everything is going to shake out. But it's a good time to reinforce the confidence in our team. It's like, hey, look, everybody's going through this. Like, this is every business, right? And you can't give certainty in what's happening in the market. You can at least give certainty. I look at it, I can give certainty as like, guys, look at this team that we have. Like, we're going to kill it coming out of this, right? If anybody can kill it coming out of this, and even now, and figure out ways to find new angles at the business and things like that, it's us, right? So
Yeah.
that's an important part as a leader too, is being able to cast a vision that people can buy into and that you'll actually go deliver on.
So let's clarify something here, man, because I think so many people are living in a mindset of prediction when I would rather focus on being in a mindset of preparation. So everybody's like, well, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. Everybody these days now is an economist, apparently, and they're
a biologist
and a financial writer and all these other things that like it's truth, right? But I think the people who are preparing, right? Like you're staying in a state of preparation. You're gathering resources. You're building alliances, right? We're big on alliances because you and I understand this concept. And, Chris Root, our friend, like he's also big on this whole idea of creating alliances. Right now, some companies and some people need to solidify alliances with other people, other teams, create those bonds, like especially now, because you're right. When you come out of this thing, you're either going to come out fully swinging or you might not come back at all. Because the truth is, a lot of companies, man, they're not coming back. They can't afford a 2-3 month shutdown. A lot of restaurants, food service, those kind of industries that were already struggling pre-COVID. It's not like they're going to come out of COVID any more advanced than they were prior to. They're still going to be struggling, man. So do you think some businesses need to shut down right now, Miguel, in your experience?
Yeah, like especially in Western Canada, man, it's tough because a lot of businesses are so reliant on oil out here, right? It's sort of like the foundation of the economy in many parts of Western Canada. And so many businesses were already kind of in a period of contraction and in just a rough spot. So unfortunately, there are going to be a lot of people who fall off the bus right now, and a lot of businesses that do, including some things that I had going, right, that may or may not come back, right? So it's just a reality. And it's okay. I mean, it's kind of like natural selection, right? You get a tough winter and some of the weaker animals kind of die off, things like that. And I think in this economy, the companies who were more liquid, who had bigger safety nets, who were able to generate those alliances that you were talking about, are going to be the ones that come out, stronger. And if you happen to be one of the businesses that just got smoked and you can't make it work right now, or you're getting wiped out, I feel for you, man. And keep the faith and pivot, because I've done a lot of things that didn't work. I've started businesses that got blown up before they hardly got started, right? And part of being an entrepreneur, and the reason that it's not for everyone, is for some reason entrepreneurs are the kind of people that can get their teeth kicked in and then see another opportunity and go, oh man, I'm going to tackle that one.
Yeah.
And they get their teeth kicked in.
Yeah. And
then go, oh man, that sucked. And then see an opportunity and go, oh, squirrel. And then jump on that one, right? And I think that,
right.
A lot of people can't handle that. It's very tough mentally. And so if you're not already like rock solid those ways, I think it's just not for everybody, right? And so that's also why I think it's very possible to generate and build amazing teams, because there's a certain segment of the population that can handle that. Then there's a certain segment of the population who are freaking awesome at executing and working within a business, and all of those pieces are necessary, and all of those people can succeed together. Not everybody on the hockey team is a goalie, and not everybody on a hockey team is a centerman, right? So
yeah, and some people pulled their goalie a long time ago, and they're trying to win the game, and now everybody's shooting pucks at them, and they don't know what to do. I like it, man.
Yeah,
a lot of people talk about this kind of wartime mindset, wartime CEO. This is a very popular kind of trendy topic right now, but a lot of even the terminology around business owners, it's always about warriors, champions, fight, because truthfully, this is what it is. And when you take your mind off of the, certain qualities that make a business grow, like revenue, right? When you take your mind off that stuff and you focus on buying cool staplers and all the other stuff that doesn't really matter in a company, I think we've got a little bit of an immaturity of what it means to be in business, because so many businesses don't focus on marketing and sales, which are the two drivers in my opinion. So I think the businesses that win get that, and they stop focusing on anything but marketing and sales. Like, other companies, are actually pushing for growth. Not everybody's pulling back and hanging out. Some companies are pushing towards growth. They're pushing towards expansion, because there's a unique opportunity with every challenge. When they close a door, somebody's opening a window somewhere. There's always going to be that kind of balance. So talk about pivoting, man. Maybe give us some practical steps or some of the lessons that you've learned in relation to pivoting. Could you give us some advice or counsel on that? How does a business person supposed to pivot right now? Like, what should they focus on?
So a couple things. First off, on your marketing and sales thing, I just want to reinforce that and say that the reason that I came into the metal business, which was an old boys club with businesses that had been there a couple generations, and why we were able to just kick down a spot in the market for ourselves, is because we went nuclear on marketing, and everybody that was our avatar, our target demographic, knew who we were. And then, you know, it got to the point where it's like, man, these guys, they've been in scrap forever. They really don't like you. I'm like, I've never even freaking heard of them. Like, I didn't even know who anybody was in the game, but we were so aggressive on marketing. And same thing with True Green Energy. That's why we were successful there too. Pivoting, I think, you know, first of all, when you retreat, I think it's good to consolidate and look at like, okay, what do we have that's strong? And what can we play off of that? Where can we go from here maybe, right? Like maybe a limb or a part of your organization kind of fell off. So now what do we have left? And what can we really tackle and go after? You know, what kind of skill sets do we have around the table, and what does that lend itself to? Right now, we're looking at all kinds of different things at the moment. But the second thing is that as an entrepreneur, you should be training yourself to see businesses everywhere. I look at everything as a business. Everything that you see out there, every component of everything you see out there represents different businesses, right? People who sourced the stuff, then who sold it, that put it together, that marketed. Like, there's just things of potential business. And so when you start to train your brain, one of the things I did a long time ago was start writing down business ideas on my phone. Every time I thought of an idea, I was like, man, this could be a good business. I'd write it down. And it's amazing that you can start to see opportunity really, like, you know, business opportunities are a lot like a bus. They're always coming. Evaluate them and say, okay, what's this one like? Is this one gonna criteria of what I want to do? Business opportunities, and me practice of training your brain to see them. You should be able to pivot. You should always have something that you're willing to tackle next.
Yeah, so getting ready and being prepared, it also has to do with that, you know, reticular activating system, the RAS filter in your brain. So kind of some practical application of this knowledge here, right? First of all, if you write down and you visualize that you want to be in business, then you'll naturally start thinking about business as ideas. You'll naturally start thinking about, you know, different things that you could do. So it comes to being an opportunistic person. And Miguel, you can give me your take on this, but I think opportunistic people are cultivated through time. They become more and more opportunistic the more and more that they think on this stuff. Just like anything else you're going to meditate on. If you meditate on positive thoughts, you're going to breed positivity. If you meditate on negative things, you're going to have nothing but negativity and scarcity hitting your brain all day, every day. So nobody can change you. You've got to make a conscious decision, put it in your brain, and then it comes out your mouth, which then it comes out through your actions, which then is going to result in a result. That's the way this works. So, you know, what can people do? I mean, practically, because that's the way I see this, man, is you have to keep thinking about it. People say, hey, you're a dreamer. Be a dreamer. You have to start dreaming about what you want, and you have to start trying to put the pieces together in your mind. And if you're naturally a strategic thinker like I am, you're always going click, 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 and never stops. So is that how your mind kind of works, Miguel, or how do you remain opportunistic with stuff?
Yeah, that's a good description. I mean, I'm a big believer in visualization. I've got on one side of my bathroom in our master bedroom, I've got my vision board because I'm in there at least twice a day.
Yep.
And then on the other side, I've got, you know, a whiteboard of the things that I want to remind myself of at that time, right? And right now, with the shit that's going on now, that board is full of all the positive spin of what could come out of this whole situation. So every time I'm standing in the shower, I'm looking through the glass at this thing, and I read it every morning, and I'm seeing what are the positives of what's going to come out of this. So I would say that when you've brainwashed yourself to the point that, like, here's where I'm going, I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there, but that's where I'm going no matter what. And you just keep kicking that down, and your mind, more so than in your frontal cortex where you're making logical decisions, starts to make connections and see things and bring opportunities forward that you didn't think of yourself, right? Our brain is infinitely complex. It's a heat-seeking missile, and if you program it with where you'd like to go, amazing what it'll start to see, like you said. So I think dating that dream and visualizing where it is that you're wanting to go, you're going to start to see those opportunities and take them when they come. Yeah.
So something you said is your brain is a heat-seeking missile, but you got to give it a target. And when you give it a target, then it's just going to keep going and keep going and keep going until it finally finds what it's trying to accomplish. And I agree with you. I think we're a lot more capable than we think we are, but we don't give ourselves enough credit. We've been created with these amazing minds where if we just tap into it, that's why a lot of these other books and things have been written about The Secret and, laws of attraction and all this kind of stuff. So I'm sure with you, there's a lot of emphasis on personal development because, your income really will never exceed you. If you can't think bigger than $1 million, you're not going to create more than $1 million. It's that simple. Grant Cardone wants us to think 10x, right? You want $1 million, think 10. And if you think 10, the likelihood is you'll shoot for 10. Maybe you'll land at 5, but at least you crush the 1 million mark. How important to you, Miguel, is personal development? And what are some of the stuff that you do or books that you read to keep furthering your mindset? He's obviously.
It's
go ahead.
Absolutely essential. There's a 0% chance that. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, so it's absolutely essential. It's absolutely essential. If I wasn't huge into personal development, we wouldn't be talking right now. I wouldn't be sitting in a boardroom in my business. There's zero reality that is what it is. I'm crushing books. Always, I would say that 1% of the time that I'm in my vehicle and I drive a couple hours a day, every day, I would say that 1% of the time that in my vehicle, I'm listening to music. The rest of the time I'm investing in my brain, whether that's a sermon, whether that's a book, whether that's a podcast, whether that's a YouTube video. Sometimes it's like just real hardcore details about leadership or some aspect. Sometimes it's like, I feel like I got my ass kicked today and I need to listen to Tony Robbins about getting my state right and change my mindset. Like it could be any one of those things, but I just don't waste time. The stuff that's going in my brain when I've got that downtime and sitting in my truck, I'm investing in myself, and there's just no chance that I would be where I am right now if it wasn't for that. It's impossible.
So no chance, man. You're giving a lot of your success credit back to your push and focus on personal development, which a lot of business owners do. A lot of high level, producers, they're all in the same mindset. They're all engaged in the same, kind of piece, which is, focus on personal development, grow your mind. As a result, you'll start seeing better opportunity. As a result of that, you'll start acting on opportunity. You'll have the faith that it's going to be possible. You become more glass half full, more opportunistic, and it's almost like this cascading effect, like a water wall just keeps pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring into the next level, into the next piece. So I love this. Let me ask you this, Miguel. You're a father, right? You've got kids and a wife. Sometimes people will say that, I can't do business or I can't get involved or I struggle because I have kids, right? What do you think, Miguel, for somebody who has children? Is it a struggle for you to manage the business and your family? And how do you deal with that, man?
That's a great question. I'm grateful that before I had kids, I would go, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, and, eat, sleep, and breathe. Like my friends saw me just disappear for months on end, right? And I would just kind of pop back in every once in a while. And so I'm grateful that I had a period of time to do that before I had kids. Now I've got kids and things are a little bit different than that. My goal is not to work 15 hours a day. My goal is to raise little boys into men and be a good dad and be a good husband also. So, if you don't have kids, you may have an advantage in flexibility of your time. But I think if you do have kids, you've got an advantage of being hungry and having a reason why. And most people fail because they're not hungry enough and they don't have a reason why. Most people give up because things are really hard. And when things are really hard and you're going home and you're staring at your little boys, your kids, and looking at them and saying like, I'm not going to quit on you, right? I'm going to step up to the plate and make this happen because of you. So I think that's an advantage. So, there's pros and cons of each. But I think a lot of people don't get serious in their life until they have kids in their life, to be honest.
So it's a level of almost immediate maturity. You get backed into a corner, and now you have to be responsible for your kids because you got to set an example, and they're counting on you. They really are. So it really takes that for some people to mature. Is that what you're saying?
I just think that's probably the best way to look at it, because you can look at almost anything in from different angles. Somebody could look at it and say, oh man, now I have kids, so I don't have time to do this, right? And another will say, man, now I have kids, I don't have a choice but to do this. And necessity is the mother of invention, right? When you paint yourself into a corner where your boats are burned, and this is what I'm doing now, it's amazing what you can get done in that 8 hours. I know people who get 1 hour's work done in 8 hours, and I know people who get 15 hours worth of work done in 8 hours. And so, when you're a dad, you can pile that in a little bit better, and have more of an urgency and a sense of purpose potentially that you don't have when you're single.
And do you think that creates like a certain speed and urgency in what you're doing, because now you've got more pressure than before to perform and to get things done quicker?
For sure. I mean, one of my good friends is starting a business called 11th Hour Developments because everything gets done in the 11th hour, right? It's amazing what you can get done in the 11th hour when you're down to the wire. And so if you just put the wire, I mean, I love what Ed says. He doesn't live one day. 4 hours for him is a day, or 6 hours is a day, right? So he lives 4 days in one day because he's going like, I'm going to get a whole day's worth of work done in the first 4 hours of the day. And then the next 4 hours, I'm going to get a whole day's worth of work done. And so, I don't necessarily ascribe to that, but the punchline is most people could do more than they think they can. And a lot of the stuff that somebody's doing could probably be delegated, or somebody could be doing it for much less than what their time is worth. And in order to get that leverage, right? So, I mean, everybody's got kids, man. Most people have kids. To say that that's a reason that you're not going to build a business is just a cop-out.
Dude, it's a cop-out. I'm dropping a bomb on that. It is a cop-out. And listen, I know everybody's got pressures and things going on in their life, and maybe they can't, they can't see themselves getting out of that to start a business right now. But truthfully, if you don't do it today, you're never going to do it. I mean, that's just the way the world works. The book, The Slight Edge, is exactly that principle. Start today, or you're never going to start. Tomorrow will always be another excuse. Tomorrow will always be another excuse. So as we kind of wrap up here, Miguel, what do you think for people who are trying to process what they should do right now, man? Should people be starting businesses? Should they be pulling back and hanging out for a month or two? What would you advise somebody to do?
Man, that really depends, right? Like if you've got a business that you can execute on now, like there's a lot of businesses that serve the current situation that we're in right now, right? Look at things like, for example, Skip the Dishes, right? Guys from Saskatoon started that company. There's opportunities that every crisis brings with it opportunities, right? And so there's needs that exist today that didn't exist 2 weeks ago or a month ago. And so if you're in a business that is aligned with the wind right now, then go. But if you've got major headwinds, and let's say you're selling a luxury product right now, and your target demographic is sort of the middle class, that's maybe on CERB right now or EI, that is probably behind on mortgage payments or whatever, and that's your target audience, and it's a product that's not a necessity, I probably wouldn't be launching that product right now. I would be getting it ready maybe, but I would be buying time, because launching a business is almost more about timing than anything else, right? You've got to be, maybe not timing than anything else. I mean, you could start a business just about any time and make it work if you really have the grit. It's just that it's so hard that you want to try to be taking off, with the current, not against it. So if somebody's thinking about starting a business right now, I would consider that, who's your audience? Can they buy from you right now? Is it a good time to launch this business? Can you get their attention? That kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different elements in that, but for those who can't, don't get down. I know it's easy to get down right now. I'm not a person who gets down, and I've been down. Just invest in yourself, invest in your faith, read, get better, and cast a vision for where you want to go, because we're creative beings, right? We're made in the image of God. God is a creator, and we're able to create things as well. You just have to, it starts in your mind, right? And so stop creating the bad things and start creating the good things that you want to see in your life.
Dude, I love that. I love that. Stop creating the bad and start creating the good is what my man says. Dude, that's such a critical component because you're right. We do have the power to create whatever we want. And if you're creating a negative outlook on your life, then you're probably going to live it out. Whatever you believe is going to happen probably will happen. That's the way this works. And, Miguel, I'm just so thankful, man, that you've been a part of this conversation today. I'm so thankful to have a Canadian, on the show and be able to have real-life conversation from a real man who's got real businesses. And you've got real businesses, which is not small little startups. You've got real companies, which is so powerful. Quick question. How much hockey do you play?
I gave up playing hockey pretty much for 10 straight years. I played hockey from the time I was 5 to the time I was 19, every other day of my life. And when I started getting in business, that was one of the sacrifices. And I finally started playing hockey a little bit this year. My boys are in hockey, so I started doing some assistant coaching and played a little bit of hockey, but not enough. But one day I'll be back in it and lace them up. Right now I'm in a different stage of life. All
right, so what you're saying is I got some time to catch up on you, right? I better get my pink roller skates. I'm about to get going on this bad boy right now, man. Get a little ball hockey going. No, that's awesome, Miguel. Appreciate it so much, man. And in good fashion, folks, where can they connect with you, Miguel, further? Social media or something? Where can folks follow you or connect with you?
Yeah, sure. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Mig Catellier, I think, on Instagram. And Miguel Catellier on Facebook, something like that. I don't put out a bunch of content. You're going to see pictures of my kids and a little bit of stuff on my businesses and a little bit of content. But feel free to connect with me there, and I'll connect back.
I love it, man. And just so folks at home know that Miguel's a good friend of mine. We actually met through Chris Rude, and Miguel and Chris met at a mastermind. So it's just interesting how full circle this goes all across Canada and North America, meeting great people. Every time you invest in yourself, invest in your business and your mindset, it's amazing how many opportunities will develop that you've never been able to see prior to. Because if you're only focused on what's in front of you right now, then you can't expect to see the opportunities that are beside you. So sometimes you need to connect sideways, connect this way, connect up, and really start seeing the opportunities differently. And the best way to grow is to find other people that are also growing. So just so awesome. Canadian Protein. I guess they're I think they're the third largest in the nation, but they're kind of they do a lot of, white label, that kind of stuff as well. And, they're in different stores and things. So he's one of your kind of business guys.
They use the moose protein and the beaver protein, right?
They might have, yeah. I think so. I'm not too certain, but they may be doing that. I don't know how that goes.
My jokes just aren't going over.
Jokes for days. Well, because I couldn't see you. Now I can see you. Now you're back on the screen. It was just your audio. I'm like, what are you talking about? But I'll connect you with him, man. Just another good Canadian business owner. And, he's doing an extract company now. So he just built the largest, it's a 50,000 square foot extract facility. Finally got approval for that here locally. And I think it'll make him the largest one in the country for that extract product that he does. So just interesting, cool. Interesting industry. How's that the business mentorship thing in Canada that you're a part of? Weren't you part of some kind of group, mastermind or whatever?
Yeah, it's called TEC.
TEC.
And it stands for the Executive Committee. And it's a CEO group that is basically takes CEOs from the local area, and everybody's sort of got an understanding that it's going to be, privacy is going to be respected and that kind of thing. And then you get to rub shoulders with guys who, in my case, are a lot farther than I am in business, and guys that have real businesses, right, that are doing some real numbers, and that just the chance for me to be in that room and rub shoulders with these guys is powerful. So if you have the chance to jump, if you're just getting started and you can get in on Ben's tribe and rub shoulders with guys like Ben, who started just bare naked and screaming just like you are, getting smuggled out of a communist country and to drive in a Lambo all over southern Canada down there. You just gotta get around the right people. So, aside from reading books and podcasts, which is essentially associating, just not in person, that's one of the most powerful things you can do.
I love it. I might hit you up for some recommendations on mastermind groups. I'm always looking to, to connect with new people, get to know them, and that kind of stuff, man. So, Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to stay more connected with you. I know we go for months on ends without talking, but I'm gonna make an effort.
It's always good when we do.
Yeah, well, for sure, man, for sure. You're the only Canadian business owner. You and a couple other dudes that that I think are just doing awesome. And regardless of revenue up and down, just crushing it in terms of mindset, business, life, and especially doing it in a godly way, which is awesome. So I appreciate you, Miguel. Thank you so much for your time today, brother. And we'll be in touch
Appreciate
very
you,
soon,
man.
my dude.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. God bless you. Take care. Hey, it's Ben Humble. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what my guest is talking about and you're getting massive value from it, then scroll to the bottom, open up the description, and follow them on social media. Support them, connect with them. Just scroll down there, click the link, and let's roll. Stay humble.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.